Tonight, as darkness descends and shadows lengthen, it's time to turn down the lights. Let the world outside fade away as we prepare for a journey into the macabre. Lock the doors, not just against the outside world, but against the things that might creep in from somewhere else entirely. Secure yourselves, and grab your favorite scary snacks. Indulge in the sweet and savory, for they may be your last comforts before the true chills begin. Settle in close, huddle together if you must, for safety in numbers is a primal instinct we can't ignore when facing the unknown. Because this isn't just a story spun from imagination and fancy. It's a warning, etched in the very fabric of reality, a cautionary tale whispered on the wind. Curiosity, that insatiable human trait, can lead you down paths you never intended to tread. It can lead you to dark, forgotten places, where the veil between worlds thins and the echoes of the past reverberate with chilling clarity. Where the past never truly dies, but festers and lingers, a haunting presence that refuses to be silenced. Some houses are just wood and nails, brick and mortar, simple structures providing shelter from the storm. Others are vessels, more than just physical spaces. They hold on to pain, absorbing the suffering that unfolds within their walls. Fear, a palpable entity that clings to the very air, suffocating those who dare to enter. And rage, a burning inferno of resentment and fury that seeks release, a vengeful spirit yearning to lash out. The house in our story is undeniably one of these places, a nexus of dark energy and tormented souls. It remembers every terrible thing, every act of cruelty and despair, every moment of anguish. That happened within its walls, and it guards those memories jealously, unwilling to let them fade into oblivion. Our story begins with Alex, a young and intrepid soul, a thrill-seeker who loved, perhaps a little too much, the adrenaline rush of the unknown, exploring abandoned places, those forgotten corners of the world where time seems to stand still and secrets lie buried beneath layers of dust and decay. Alex never believed in ghosts, dismissing them as figments of overactive imaginations. Just the wind, playing tricks on your ears and senses. The rustle of leaves, a natural symphony of nature, nothing more. But belief, like a fragile vase, can shatter and change irrevocably. In an instant, a single terrifying moment that rewrites everything you thought you knew. This house, the one we're about to delve into, had a reputation, a dark and sinister one. Locals called it, with a mixture of fear and morbid fascination, the Hemlock House, a name that conjured images of poison and despair, where a family vanished, without a trace, leaving behind only whispers and unanswered questions. Decades ago, their disappearance became a local legend, a chilling reminder of the darkness that can lurk beneath the surface of everyday life. No one went near it, not if they could help it. After dark, when the shadows deepened and the imagination ran wild, they whispered about weeping, emanating from within the house. Soft, desperate sobs that tugged at the heartstrings and sent shivers down the spine. Echoing through the night, carried on the wind like a mournful lament. Alex, drawn by the mystery, the allure of the unknown, and perhaps a touch of youthful arrogance, packed a flashlight to pierce the oppressive darkness that clung to the Hemlock House, and a camera to document the adventure and, of course, to prove that there was nothing to fear. Ready to debunk the legends, to expose the Hemlock House as nothing more than an old, dilapidated building with a spooky story. But some stories, the truly terrifying ones, are written in blood, etched into the very fabric of reality with pain and suffering. And they're all too real, far more terrifying than any fictional tale ever conceived. The Hemlock House waited, patiently, silently, hungry for a new story, a fresh narrative of fear and despair to add to its already extensive collection. Alex stepped into the unknown, crossing the threshold into a realm where the rules of reality seemed to bend and break. Not knowing the house, with its malevolent sentience, was waiting to share its dark and twisted history, its memories, the echoes of past horrors that clung to the walls like cobwebs. The silence, heavy and oppressive, broken only by the frantic beating of Alex's own heart. The stillness, an unnerving absence of life that hinted at something far more sinister lurking just out of sight. The sense of being watched, an invisible presence scrutinizing every move, every breath. Alex felt it all, the weight of the house's history, the oppressive silence, the feeling of being observed. But the thrill of discovery, the intoxicating allure of the unknown, was stronger than fear, at least for now, blinding Alex to the true danger that lay ahead. The house was more than a shell, a mere collection of wood and stone. It was alive with secrets, breathing with a dark and malevolent energy. And tonight, under the cloak of darkness, it would finally, after decades of silence, tell its tale, revealing the horrifying truth behind the Hemlock house. So listen closely, pay attention to every detail, for the house speaks in whispers and shadows. And pray you don't hear, in the dead of night, a floorboard creak, the sound of something moving within the house. Behind you, because in the Hemlock house, you are never truly alone. The house stood on a hill, a Victorian skeleton against a bruised sky. Weeds and vines choked the yard, as if trying to drag the house back into the earth. Alex stood at the rusted gate, heart pounding. The porch groaned underfoot, the front door hanging open like a gaping mouth. Inside, darkness swallowed the flashlight's beam. Furniture draped in sheets looked like shrouded figures. A grand staircase vanished into gloom. The silence was watchful, as if the house was holding its breath. Alex moved slowly, dust muffling every step. A grandfather clock stood frozen at 3:07, a monument to the moment time stopped. Suddenly, a floorboard overhead creaked. Alex froze, flashlight aimed at the ceiling. Nothing but darkness. Old houses make noises, Alex reasoned. But fear had taken root. This was no longer just exploring, it was trespassing on something that didn't want to be disturbed. In the study, Alex noticed a faint outline in the wallpaper behind a heavy desk. Curiosity overcame fear. Alex pried open a hidden door, revealing a cramped closet. Inside was a single object, a book bound in dark, cracked leather, cold to the touch. No title, no markings, just a tarnished brass latch. Alex felt the weight of the mystery in their hands. This was the heart of the house's secret. Sitting at the desk, Alex opened the latch. The cover creaked like a coffin lid. The first page revealed an elegant looping script, a diary. As Alex began to read, the house seemed to exhale, shadows deepening all around. The air grew colder, the story was about to begin, and the house was listening. Alex turned the page. The diary's first entry was from June 1923, written by Alara, full of hope for her new home. She described her husband Arthur, their children Samuel and Lily, and the sunlight that once filled the rooms. But as Alex read, a faint whisper drifted from the hallway, a woman's sigh. Alex tried to dismiss it, but the unease grew. The next entry was different. Alara wrote of doors creaking open, the broken clock chiming at odd hours, and a persistent chill upstairs. Arthur dismissed her fears, but Alara felt they were not alone. Suddenly, a loud bang from upstairs sent Alex scrambling, flashlight spinning wildly. The sound had come from directly above. Silence returned, heavier than before. Alex retrieved the flashlight, hands shaking. The diary story was no longer just words on a page. The house was reacting. The past was bleeding into the present, and Alex was caught in the middle. The next entry waited, promising more secrets. The house was not done, and neither was the story. Alex kept reading. The next entry from July was jagged and frantic. Alara wrote that Lily spoke to an imaginary friend, the man in the wall. As Alex read, a scratching sound began behind the desk, slow and deliberate. Alex's heart pounded. The sound was inside the wall. Alara described Samuel's nightmares, a shadow with long, thin fingers haunting his room. Arthur, desperate, forbade any more talk of ghosts. The family was unraveling. Suddenly, a child's laughter echoed from upstairs. Lily's voice, impossibly real. The scratching stopped, the laughter faded. Silence returned, heavier than before. Alex realized the house was replaying its memories. The line between past and present was gone. Alex was no longer just a visitor. The house had made Alex part of its story, and the story was far from over. Alex, paralyzed by fear and curiosity, read on. Alara's August entry described seeing the shadow herself, tall, thin, gliding from Lily's room. The flashlight flickered, shadows writhing in the corners. Alara wrote of dark stains appearing on the walls and floors, coppery and impossible to clean. Arthur finally believed, but it was too late. The house had its hooks in them. The flashlight died, plunging Alex into darkness. In the silence, a slow, wet dripping began from the ceiling above. A cold drop landed on Alex's forehead, then another. Alex's fingers came back wet and sticky. The metallic scent was unmistakable. Blood. The house was bleeding its memories into the present. Alex was trapped in the heart of its nightmare. The diary trembled in Alex's grip. The next page waited, promising only more horror. The house was alive, and it was hungry. Panic broke Alex's paralysis. Crawling from the study, Alex grabbed a spare flashlight and looked up the staircase. A woman in a tattered nightgown, Alara, stood at the top, pointing to the children's room. She vanished as suddenly as she appeared. The diary's next entry described Arthur's descent into madness, barricading the family inside. He whispered to the walls, convinced the house wanted silence. Suddenly, a crash upstairs, a door smashed open. Footsteps, children's screams. Samuel and Lily. The house replayed its tragedy, echoing through the halls. Alex was frozen, forced to witness the horror. The house demanded an audience. Its gruesome finale was about to begin. Alex clutched the diary, unable to look away. The past was alive and it wanted to be seen. The screams ended abruptly, cut short as if silenced by an unseen force. Silence fell, heavy as a shroud, suffocating the air and pressing down on everything within the house. It was a silence that spoke volumes, a silence pregnant with dread. Only one page remained, ripped from its binding, a fragment of a desperate narrative. In the diary, the final entry, a last testament to the horrors within those walls. The handwriting was frantic, a chaotic scrawl that betrayed the writer's unraveling sanity. He didn't stop it, he joined it, succumbing to the darkness that had consumed the others. The house has him now, its grip tightening, never to release him from its grasp. It has them all, their souls trapped within its walls, forever bound to its malevolent will. I am the only one left, standing on the precipice of oblivion, the last flickering flame in the encroaching darkness. It wants me to watch, to witness the horrors unfold, to be a living testament to its power. It wants a witness. A silent scream trapped within the confines of the page, the last line, a chilling premonition, a glimpse into a terrifying future. There's a new face in the mirror, it's not mine. A declaration of possession, a surrender to the entity within. Alex's blood ran cold, a wave of icy dread washing over him as the words sunk in. At the end of the hall, shrouded in shadow, an ornate mirror waited, its surface gleaming with an unnatural light, beckoning him closer. Alex shone the flashlight at it, a beam of light cutting through the oppressive darkness. First, only a terrified reflection stared back, his own face a mask of growing horror. Then, behind Alex, in the depths of the mirror's surface, a tall, thin man appeared, his form gaunt and spectral, a figure of pure nightmare. Arthur, the man in the wall, a legend whispered in hushed tones, now a terrifying reality. His hand rested, a chilling touch that transcended the boundaries of the mirror. On Alex's shoulder in the glass, a possessive gesture, a claim staked in the reflection. A scream echoed from upstairs, a desperate cry that shattered the oppressive silence. Alara's voice filled with unimaginable terror. Alex spun around, his heart leaping into his throat, adrenaline coursing through his veins. Nothing, only empty space and the oppressive darkness of the hallway. The house was silent once more, the screams swallowed by its insatiable hunger. Turning back, drawn by an irresistible and terrifying compulsion, the man was gone, vanished without a trace, as if he had never been there at all. But Alex's reflection was wrong, subtly altered, twisted into something alien and unsettling. It wasn't shaking. No longer reflecting his fear, his panic, it was smiling, a slow, deliberate curve of the lips that sent shivers down his spine. Wide and predatory, a grin that promised pain and suffering. The reflection raised a hand, mimicking his own movement, but with a sinister intent, and waved, a mocking gesture, a final farewell to his former self. The house had found, after all this time, its new witness, its new plaything, its new prisoner. Alex staggered back, his mind reeling, heart pounding against his ribs like a trapped bird. The story was not over, it had only just begun. The house had chosen, and its choice was final. And the mirror would remember every moment of his terror, every flicker of his hope. Forever, trapped within its reflective gaze, a prisoner of the house and its endless horrors. Dread, a cold and heavy blanket washed over Alex as the reflection in the window seemed to mock them. Its smile widened, stretching into something unnatural, something evil. It was a grin that promised only pain and despair. The eyes, once familiar, were now black and empty, devoid of any humanity. They were the eyes of something else, something ancient and malevolent. Alex stumbled blindly from the house, desperate to escape the suffocating darkness that had taken hold. They were sprinting into the night, lungs burning, heart pounding, each footstep a desperate plea for salvation. In their frantic escape, they left the diary behind, a silent witness to the horror that had unfolded. The Hemlock house faded into the inky blackness of the night, a sinister silhouette against the starless sky. But its stain remained, a dark and indelible mark on Alex's soul. Days passed, blurring into weeks, then months. Alex desperately tried to forget the terror they had witnessed, to bury the memory deep within the recesses of their mind. But the memory of the smile lingered, a haunting specter that refused to be banished. Sometimes, in a dark window or the still surface of a mirror, a shadow flickered, a fleeting glimpse of something not quite right. And then, the chilling realization. A smile that wasn't Alex's own, a twisted parody of joy. The house was gone, reduced to rubble and dust, but its evil had taken root, spreading like a creeping vine through Alex's very being. The story wasn't over. It was merely entering a new, even more terrifying chapter. It had found a new vessel, a new canvas upon which to paint its dark masterpiece. One day, while aimlessly wandering through an antique shop, Alex found a book, tucked away on a dusty shelf, almost hidden from view. Dark, cracked leather, worn with age, and bearing no title on its spine. The pages within were blank, pristine, and untouched, except for the very first. With a hand that didn't quite feel like their own, guided by an unseen force, Alex picked up a pen, its weight strangely comforting in their trembling fingers. A familiar yet terrifying smile touched their lips, a cruel and knowing expression. In elegant script, flowing effortlessly across the page, Alex began to write, words forming on the page as if dictated by a ghostly presence. June 12th, finally, a new beginning. I am so excited, practically bursting with anticipation about my new home, Hemlock House. If this story chilled you to the bone, leaving you with a lingering sense of unease, hit like, share this nightmare with your friends, and subscribe for a constant stream of terrifying tales. We've got a whole library of horror stories waiting to crawl under your skin. Let us know in the comments below what you thought of Alex's terrifying ordeal and the shocking revelation of the final twist. Until next time, sleep tight if you can, and maybe, just maybe, cover up your mirrors just in case. The house is always waiting, lurking in the shadows, ready to claim its next victim. And some stories, like the evil that dwells within Hemlock House, never truly end. Good night, and sweet dreams, or perhaps nightmares.